Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to the State House for our press conference for the 2011 Governor's Cup football game between Brown University and the University of Rhode Island. My name is Scott Rhody. I'm the voice of the Brown Bears. For those of you who do not know me, it's a pleasure to be here today. And I'm really looking forward to, as I'm sure all of you are as well, to Saturday night's football game between Brown and URI. Folks, this is our state championship game. This is the 96th meeting between Brown and URI, and certainly in recent years, these games have been just super exciting, and I'm sure we can expect much of the same Saturday night at Brown.
Well, thank you, Scott, very much. And is it true that one of your predecessors is a Brown football announcer? Went on to great heights at ESPN? Chris Berman. So who knows what future you have, Scott. And also like to welcome you to this room. Behind me is the Gilbert Stewart portrait of George Washington, famous portrait. Gorgeous stateroom we have here. State House completed in about 1904. The great prosperity of Rhode Island could allowed us to build such a gorgeous state house and such a beautiful room as this. So welcome here. And this is a game, a Governor's Cup, and a lot of history here. It started in 1909. They met, Brown and URI have met 95 times, and the Bears have a 67-26 advantage with 2 ties. So Rams, you got your work cut out for you. But last year URI won in overtime, 27-24, and in 09 the Bears won, 28-20. So as Scott said, these have been some exciting games. And unfortunately, although this game was run for 67 consecutive years, a scheduling snafu disrupted the series for a couple of years in the early 90s. But they're back at it and are scheduled to continue through 2017 for the state championship. And I'd like to note that 2 former governors played for Brown, Phil Noel, class of '54, and Governor Kacheri, class of '65 at Brown. So in our torn allegiances, who do we root for here? The state school or our alma mater? They even played for the Brown Bears, so it was harder for them for their allegiance. Guess I'll have to switch back and forth the sidelines and be a good politician. But thank you very much, Scott. I look forward to the game Saturday night. Played for Brown, Phil Noel, class of '54, and Governor Kacheri, class of '65 at Brown. So in our torn allegiances, who do we root for here? The state school or our alma mater? They even played for the Brown Bears, so it was harder for them for their allegiance. Guess I'll have to switch back and forth the sidelines and be a good politician. But thank you very much, Scott. I look forward to the game Saturday night.
Our next speaker is in his 3rd season as the head coach at the University of Rhode Island, and it has been plain to see what a great job he has done improving this program. Last year they defeated 3 ranked teams in FCS, and for his accomplishments and the accomplishments of his team, he was named the 2010 CAA Coach of the Year. This year they gave Syracuse, an FBS opponent, all that they could handle up at the Carrier Dome just a couple of weeks ago. Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach at the University of Rhode Island, Joe Traynor.
On behalf of the University of Rhode Island, Governor Chafee, I want to thank you and your staff during a very busy week for giving us the opportunity to be here to promote such a great rivalry. I don't know if there's a better one in the country at any level. I don't know if it's because of the proximity of the schools or the intimacy of the state itself, but this is certainly one of the more heated rivalries between 2 great programs, and I just want to thank you for extending yourself and your staff to have this kickoff luncheon here today. It didn't take me long as the head coach to realize the impact and the intensity of this rivalry. I probably field hundreds of calls a year, throughout the course of the year from alums, and 90% of them usually finish with the line, "Hey, oh, by the way, beat Brown." So, this is definitely important for our university. The game is important to our state, and I know a lot of there's a ton of passion, certainly from, Phil's going to talk about his end, but I know a lot of our alums are incredibly engaged with this game, probably more than any game. So I'm sure this game's going to be no different than the ones the past couple years. I will remind Governor Chafee, though, since 1981, Rhode Island has a 16-13 advantage in that series. So we're hoping to make it 2 in a row. But just that, there's been a ton of parity in the last 30 years. 2 of the last 4 games have finished in overtime. And it's one of those games that, records aside, it's going to be a heavyweight championship fight, and there's going to be a ton of competition and great sportsmanship shown on both ends. And the fact that it's a night game, Scott, I think is awesome for the state and for both programs. This is really, and I said, when I talk about Phil Estes, I sometimes sound like a broken record, but this is the golden age of Brown football. If you look at the last 12 to 13 years, and it's no secret that really is attributed to their head coach. He's won 3 Ivy League championships in his tenure. To put that in context, the Brown University won 1 in the 40-plus years prior to that. So, he's a guy that I emulate because I don't think there's a better guy in the country that develops players. He recruits guys that fit into his program, regardless of who else might be recruiting them. He's put countless guys into the NFL, and he just develops great players when they're there. The buy-in from his staff and his players is always tremendous. He's had great continuity with his staff. There's a ton of mutual respect between both staffs. A lot of guys have worked together prior to it. To tell you the type of guy Phil is, Phil, organized a golf outing for all coaches this summer, among Brown and Rhode Island and Bryant and Salve Regina. Phil just said, hey, let's get everybody out there and kick the little white ball around. And he's just a classy guy, and his teams always emulate the style that he brings. It's a hardness, but it's a team that's always going to show great sportsmanship. So we always look forward to this type of competition. This signifies state supremacy, and this is important for our program. Every week we tell our players, hey, this game is the most important game of the year because it's the next game of the year. But I would be lying if I said that this game is just the next game of the year. This is an important game for us, and we know we're going to have to bring our A game if we're going to beat a great Brown team.